What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Kamikaze Podcast. I'm your host, JP, and I'm joined by my co-host, Morgs.
Hey, what's up?
And TJ.
Hey,
How's your week's going?
It has been a really nice, great weather. I mean, in general, I haven't done shit.
And with you, TJ, because Morgs has nothing better to say.
I have no. Like, I was so lost there for a second. I was
All
like,
right, moving on.
Ouch.
You're so rude. You know that you're damn rude.
Moving.
So hot.
Let the women speak.
The women speak.
I was on this whamming.
Have rights since
My week's been
1944.
alright, guys. My week's been alright.
Thank you for all the love and support we got on our first episode, Meet Kamikaze, which if you haven't listened to, please go back on our YouTube channel and check it out. Thank you for all the love and support we got on it. We understand it was fairly scuffed and very unprofessional. We were very unorganized, but give us a break. It was our first episode, and we're hoping to just get more comfortable recording and talking while being recorded, and audio and everything.
I think it's also just having a mic. It's a bit harder. It's like
Right.
a phone call is easier than a mic.
How do you think the last episode went, Morse?
I really enjoyed it, and I noticed a lot of. I should have done better, said better, and yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think it's just gonna be a.
Be quiet. Wait for your turn.
I think of time. I'm just
Be
agreeing with
shy.
you. I'm agreeing with you. I can't even agree with you. Wow.
No,
Okay.
no.
Wow. I'm just go.
No.
I'm gonna just go
Oh.
then. Let's go. All right. Moving on with the topic I wanted to talk about today. It's something that I personally feel quite strongly about, and I just wanted to see what both of your opinions were on it, and I just want to put it up for discussion. I know we're all from 3 different parts of the world. TJ, you're from South Africa. Morgs, you're from Sweden, and I'm originally from the UK, but living in Florida pretty much my whole life. So I've grown up in the American school system. What I wanted to talk about was basically the school system, education, and what kids go through, in the education system, learning as they grow up, through their middle school and teenage years. So I just want to talk about that and see what you guys' opinions are, especially since we're from a wide range of experience, and since you guys have already finished high school and everything, I thought it would be an interesting topic to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the same as you said, because it's different countries, different systems. And we don't have, like, high school. We don't have that.
Right.
And it's pretty much the same, like, to learn these things you don't need. Like, you don't have of jack poop. You will never, ever use that unless you study to, to
Oh, I
be
get what you mean.
experienced
I get what
math
you mean.
teacher.
It's like if you wanted to be, for instance, I'm a qualified graphic designer, but you don't get taught in school how to actually do graphics. But what you do get taught is things like CAT, which was like computers, something illiterate, some stupid course that made no sense because you just had to learn how to use a Word document. So, yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
they were like
And
there's no relation to what you're actually gonna pursue as a career.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's like I have to pave the way in my own way, how to pay bills, taxes, and all of that. You will never ever that in school in Sweden, and I would assume not in US as well. I don't know why, because that's a part of your adult life that you should be prepared when you actually finish high school or whatever it is in US.
Right. Now that kind of lays the foundation for what I was wanting to talk about today. And I wanted to lay out my opinion, and then we can go ahead and use that as discussion and talk about what you guys think about that. The way I view school is definitely, especially in a child's young development years, it's very important for a child to learn how to read, write, do basic arithmetic, and learn how to interact with people, maybe even learn a second language, that sort of thing. But I think when you get into advanced history, advanced mathematics, advanced biology, and and stuff like that, I think it can go to a point where it's really a waste of time. In my opinion, it's more of a waste of time, and students should be taught, like Morgs was saying, basically more hands-on, real-life skills: how to pay bills, how to pay taxes, how to take out a loan, how to buy a car, how to deal with depression, how to deal with struggles that you'll go through in life, how to work with your finances, and how to spend money wisely and be frugal, and how to start a family, and all this kind of stuff that is vital for adults especially in their early years of adulthood, 20s and 30s especially, for adults to know how to do these things. And if they go into school and they learn what King Henry's second cat's middle name was, they're not going to be able to use that in any way, shape, or form in the real world. And I just feel like it would be a lot better if all those hours and days and months and years spent in school was used for something much more productive. Like I said, it doesn't mitigate the fact that basic reading, writing, arithmetic, and some history is amazing and is great. But I think that if a student wants to continue into advanced history, advanced mathematics, they should be able to, obviously, but it shouldn't be mandatory. That's my point. They should be able to go to like a higher education college, and be able to learn all that stuff, but it shouldn't be mandatory.
Yeah, I'm sorry, continue.
I was about to ask. I was like, are you talking mainly from like American experience as to the school aspect?
I'm talking about basically, my experience in high school and middle school especially. But I think the major curriculum is fairly standard across the world as far as what they teach, as far as mathematics and history and all that.
Okay, because I know back home in South Africa we actually have life orientation course, which is actually where they teach you about how, for instance, using, especially like, because I went to an all-girls school, as I've mentioned, I probably have mentioned to you guys before, but for the listeners, I went to an all-girls school, and we had, for instance, we had been taught how to use a condom, how to actually get like
Same here.
family planning done.
Yeah, and I just want to make it clear that in the U.S. we do have such courses as sexual education, and we do have courses for like family orientation and courses like that, but they are optional. And I feel like that stuff should be mandatory, and it should be in place.
That's mandatory for us. We do not have a choice, so you have to do it. So just like how you have physical education as part of your curriculum, life orientation is one of the 7 subjects that you have to do. So there's 4 major subjects that are compulsory, which is English, first additional language, then it is our second additional language, our maths, and our life orientation. Those are 4 mandatory subjects. You cannot not do them. There's no option in it. If you fail life orientation, you fail the year.
Right. What about you, Morgs? What was your experience as far as in high school?
I mean, it has been pretty basic, like the basic subjects in school, but as far as like sex ed, I didn't get so many experience. It was like as how to use a condom and how everything works. We had to watch a movie, a porn movie, to see how you have sex as an adult. And of course, at the time you were young, and it's like, ooh, they're naked and shit. But otherwise, it hasn't been like, yes, I can take something from school. I will totally use this. Said no one ever.
Said no one ever, right?
And it's sad.
I feel our life orientation sessions were actually good because they were life they actually impacted on our lives, on teaching us certain skills. But I'm not gonna say that they had covered absolutely every field. And we had, when you start off in grade 8, but we start off our high school year in grade 8. By the time you get to grade 12, half the stuff you did in grade 8 you do not remember. It's like long gone memory. It's something you don't exactly like go back and be like, oh, I'm gonna flip through this page and look at what we learned here.
Oh,
So
yeah. So,
that's the other thing. It's like as you're saying, like sex ed, we did all of that, and then also you got, for instance, STDs, all of that stuff were kind of like something that stuck because it was like, oh gosh, this could ruin my life.
It's something that you could relate to in everyday human life.
Exactly.
Right.
Although, although we got to like learn how or teach how to use CPR, so that's at least something I can take away. But it's kind of most obvious. Obvious.
Obvious.
Yes.
It's the most obvious thing, you know.
It's very obvious.
It's so obvious, Mox. It's so obvious.
Very nice.
You really sound like you have a lisp, JP. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I had a lisp for a second. Please, quiet. Go to your seat.
Yes, sir.
Shut the fuck up. We had gym. I don't know. I didn't like it. Like, I don't know, JP, I was going to ask you before about, do you refer to the song Don't Stay in School by Boy in a Band? Because he talks a lot of the things we talk about.
Yeah, I've watched that multiple times, and I was actually just about, whenever you were finished, I was just about to talk about, I listened to a guy, his name is Prince EA, on YouTube. He has a great video, it's called What is School For? And also another video called I Sued the School System. Those are two extremely very good videos, and basically summarizes everything that I talk about here, and basically I'm referring to a lot of the stuff that he talks about. So I just want to give a shout out to that video. Basically, if you want to go more in depth on what we're talking about, go listen to him, because he summarizes it very well, and you know, compacts it into like an 10 minute video.
Yeah, same with Boy in a Band with Don't Stay in School. He does really good songs as well. Don't Stay in School is obviously a song. It has a lot of information. You'd be like, wow.
And
obvious.
I wanted to bring up a couple other things, and I wanted to make a disclaimer as well before I brought this up. But anyone out there in high school, in middle school, definitely it's great. Stay in school. We're not trying to discourage you to drop out of school. We're not trying to discourage you to not stay in school or not do better in school. School is there for you to learn, and make sure you stay in school and learn and everything. But I was looking into it, and it's interesting because some of the most successful, most famous people that we know are high school dropouts. For example, I'll read off a couple of people that probably a lot of people know. Johnny Depp, he dropped out of high school to pursue a music career. Katy Perry, she dropped out of high school at the age of 15. Let's see, Nicolas Cage, he dropped out of high school as well. Arnold Schwarzenegger, he dropped out of high school, and now he's the governor, or was, I'm not sure if he is now, governor.
Bill Gates.
Governor of California.
Oh yeah, completely ignore my. Yeah.
Okay, I heard that. I was like, what?
Bill Gates.
Let's see. Yeah, Bill Gates. Yep.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise, very very famous actor. Let's see. Wolfgang Puck. He began a extremely profitable business company, a restaurant line, I believe it is, and he was a high school dropout. Let's see, Charles Dickens, one of the most famous writers in the history of the world. He was a high school dropout. He dropped out at the age of 12. Walt Disney, he dropped out, let's see, at the age of 16 to join the army, and then dropped out of the army, I believe, and pursued animation. John D. Rockefeller, a very famous banker, dropped out of high school and then later went on to college. Benjamin Franklin, I believe, never even went to school. He never even finished middle school. So never technically even dropped out of high school.
But you look at someone like Albert Einstein, who was also considered as stupid because he kept failing.
Yeah.
Right.
He came up with the pi theory. It was like, wow, the dummy of the class is actually the smart one. So I think that, okay, fair enough that we can say all of these people, but like the guys that are listening to this, we are seriously not saying drop out of school and become a millionaire off doing nothing. Like, if you have a dream and a goal and you know that you do not need school for it and you're trying to achieve something and you know that you have the potential to do it, then go for it. But don't just drop out of school just because.
Right.
Most of these people, 90% of the time, either dropped out because of like serious reasons. But other than that, it's not like, oh, I'm just going to drop out of school because I just feel like it.
Right.
And I just wanted to point it out. I am a dropout, but good news! I'm going back to school this fall. I'm going to
Yay.
and get my life straight again. Like, so don't ever
That's really
quit
cool.
school just because it's boring. I know it's boring. Nobody likes to be in school, but as soon as you get old, you start work, you're gonna think, oh man, I wish I was in school again. That was so much better. So please stay in school. Just go with the flow. It's worth it. Trust me.
It is.
Definitely.
It is. It's
Definitely.
something that you need forever because, you know, just to get a decent job nowadays requires you just to have a grade 10, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know what it is here, but I know in my country it's a grade 10. So you need to actually have that to get a decent job, just a retail job.
Here in the States, you need to have a high school diploma, which would be completing grade 12, or a GED, which is a I can't remember what it stands for, but basically it's an equivalent of a diploma. So if you drop out of school, you can go back and take a GED test, and if you pass that test, it's basically like an overview of everything you've learned through the years. If you pass that, you get your GED, which is basically like a diploma, but it's not a official diploma.
Yeah, it's called General Educational Development.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I want to talk about.
It qualifies as the same because, for instance, if you want to be a hairstylist and you dropped out of high school, you could get a GED and actually become a hairstylist because they accept it.
Right.
So-
It's more. It's basically, I would say, it's a less honorable diploma.
Yeah.
Now I want to talk about Abraham Lincoln, who is one of America's most famous presidents. Abraham Lincoln never went to school officially. He did attend a private school for a very short time, I believe 2 years at a very young age, but he had never had basically no education whatsoever, and he became one of America's most famous presidents. Now, I wanted to agree with TJ. Obviously, these people didn't get to where they are now, or where they were without work. And they worked their asses off to get where they were or are. And just because they dropped out doesn't mean you automatically become a millionaire, like TJ said.
Yep.
So it's all about work. Whether you work in school or work out of school, it always takes work. It always takes dedication. Always takes time. And you're not just gonna make millions of dollars overnight.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's true. I've heard stories of people that have dropped out because of so many reasons, and most reasons are like back home. A lot of people, I'm sure you know of, South Africa has a lot of there's either viruses or, like, you know, as everyone had this assumption that HIV and AIDS was created in South Africa, it actually wasn't, but we'll get into that another day. So people are either positive or there's usually some sort of traumatic kind of death in the family, and most people that do drop out is because of that. Like, it's not because they had a choice in it, but because they do not have the finances to actually finish their education.
Right.
So
Yeah, and I'm sorry. Please finish.
no, so it's like it's very difficult for somebody who comes from a poor family, who didn't have insurance, who weren't able to actually, like, even cover for the funeral, for them to still continue with school. And this is a story that I've had to, like, not myself, but I've had to bear with my partner, with friends of mine. I've had to sit through that and kind of counsel them through it. Even though they've dropped out of school, they've made themselves. They've grown. They've had to kind of mature before their time. So it's very difficult when it comes to things like that. That's why I say dropping out of school is a very difficult choice. Like, you have to kind of have some sort of plan or try and get there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I totally understand. And I just forgot what I was about to say. There's something to add.
Last person, I'm not sure if this name rings a bell. It probably does. David Karp, who is the developer of the blogging platform Tumblr. He dropped out of high school at the age of 15 because it wasn't thing of monetary. It wasn't thing of monetary or family, death or anything. It was just basically he figured he could learn more on his own, and with his parents' blessing, he dropped out of high school at 15 years old and went on to be a multimillionaire with the platform Tumblr.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's definitely the advantages and disadvantages of dropping out, and I would say, looking at overall, unless you're the lucky few that make it, the disadvantages definitely outweigh the advantages on the dropping out
I mean,
side of
you
things.
should really be a rich boy or a girl.
Or girl.
No, if you're going to drop out of school, because otherwise, you unless you have really like a massive luck in your life, like it's not the best option to actually drop out. Yes, it's, as I said before, it's boring, but you need your GED to apply for a job, because if you don't, I don't know how it is in the US, like, but here you can apply for a job, but you won't get a great job with a wage, and that you have to be like pick up garbage from the streets. It's not a glamorous job, and you don't want that. Nobody wants to do that. So school for your own future, and just pain, because life is pain anyway. So
you know, I get those people that kind of like have the fortunate side of like they were picked out by scouts, and you know they kind of had no choice but to drop out of school. Like there are those fortunate ones that get that opportunity, but then I don't think dropping out of school in this day and age is something that should be done. Like I'm speaking from an older generation of being 24 years old. Like people nowadays require to have a diploma of some sort for finishing high school, and it's very hard for you to actually just get a job anywhere. As much as we like hate school, and like I won't lie, I would never want to go back and try and do what I had to do again. But I would say finish off, because you don't know what the new requirements will be for the future, because that's where the problem is that you in grade 8, you want to drop out of school, and you have no idea what's going to happen throughout that year, whether the law is going to change that we can't hire anyone under the age of 16 anymore, or we can't hire somebody at the age of 14. You can't even be a dishwasher anymore. So I would literally just suggest finish it off. Just get it over and done with. Once it's done, at least you know it's done. You can find
Get it out of the
something.
way, right?
Exactly. You can find something to do. You can find potential. You can find your path in life. But don't just drop out for fun, especially now. Oh, that's a
I
mission.
just remember what I was going to say. I think it is really stupid that we have to pay to go to school. Like,
Agreed.
I don't get why. Yeah, we get books, but we have to pay.
Agreed.
Like, it's unheard of for me. Like, I've never did it. But
Because if education was free, everyone would actually have it. But because education is not free, everyone cannot have it, which makes it such a disadvantage to those who are underprivileged. That's what I feel.
because for me in Sweden, like our high school that we have, like it's free, it's voluntary. You don't have to go to school if you don't want to. It will only affect your, like you shouldn't force someone to go to school. Like,
right. I think it's.
I can't even compare it to our work, because you get paid to come to work. You don't pay to go to work.
In my personal opinion, I think that after the age of 15, 16, or 17, you should be able to choose if you want to keep going in your education, and if you do, then you know it should be like an optional thing. It shouldn't be mandatory.
So you see, as I said to you, for us, that would be mandatory, because we allowed like grade 9, grade 10, you're allowed to drop out. What my problem is with our system is that our system has been saying for years, Nelson Mandela was still alive. When he first came out of prison, his words were, there shall be free education. We are sitting in 2019 and there's still no free education in our country. The only free education you get is once you are actually at university and you are in your 4th year. That is the only time you actually get free education.
Right.
And it's like, you already paid how much for you to get through kindergarten, primary school, high school, and still have to pay those 3 years of you actually studying at a college or varsity. What's the point?
It's so dumb. It is really dumb.
So you spent like over 50, maybe 50, 60,000 just your schooling.
And you get absolutely
Nothing.
Oh yeah,
Still
I
have to
got a
pay
piece
taxes.
of paper that said I did it, but did I really?
Did I really?
I could only just go to the class just to attend for the sake of it. I didn't learn anything about King Henry the 15th. I don't really give a flying duck about him. Like, he's irrelevant to me, and that's one point. As I was going to say, like, history. Okay, yeah, the Vikings. The I know it's a very touching subject, like the slavery, all of that. That is history for a reason. Yeah, it is horrible, but why shouldn't today's, like, the kids today that grow up, learn about recent history like 9/11 and
right?
Because they won't have any use of that.
Things that would be relevant in conversation. I think that's what social interactions with the people. But anyway, to wrap up this topic, definitely go over and check out Prince EA's video. What is school for? He kind of wraps up our whole conversation here that we've stretched out to about 30 minutes or 25 minutes. He compresses it down into 8 minutes, and he says some really good points in there. Go and check his video out. And this episode has been, a little more serious, and just get used to it. We are gonna have some fairly serious episodes where we're just gonna be talking about some of the different stuff that we feel passionate about, or we have a discussion about. And we are going to try to bring back, some comedy into it. And if you do have any ideas, any suggestions, even creative criticism, make sure you comment on the video and or DM us on Twitter or Instagram and just let us know. We want to hear from you. We want to have your feedback and everything. If you have any topics you think we should talk about, make sure you let us know. And like I said in the last episode, I just wanted to do a quick recap on some news that came out about Dr. Disrespect and his case on being banned from Twitch. If you didn't hear about the case, make sure to go to our last episode and listen to that. No really recent updates other than Shroud commented on it. Basically, really, there's nothing Doc can do. And he said that from what he's heard, if anyone knows who Shroud is, go look him up. He's a gamer that's very closely, basically, he's connected with Dr. Disrespect. He commented and said there's nothing really that Doc can do, basically, and his ban from Twitch will not be permanent. He will be reinstated soon, so we don't have to worry about that. But he's not sure about the legalities and the business side of things. So that's just a quick recap on that. So I think we had a good episode as far as discussion on the school thing, and I just want to make sure that everyone knew. Moms, dads out there, don't get mad. We're not trying to discourage anyone from going to school or telling anyone to drop out. Stay in school. It's good for you, and you're gonna regret it if you do drop out. And you're definitely gonna be thankful that you did stay in school when you have that piece of paper in your hand and you can get a good job and you can make some money and earn and support a family and send your own kids to school. So.
Yeah.
I regret it. That's why I am going back to school.
And we are so proud of you.
Yeah.
Oh, you. Oh.
It takes a lot for somebody to realize, it takes a lot for someone to realize that dropping out of school sometimes isn't the best idea. So.
Oh yeah. I've been like.
Proud of you.
For 3 years.
Yeah.
But this was the second episode, as JP said, and it would mean really much if you could leave a like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, share with your friends, even your parents. They can listen to this shit. Have a good day or night wherever you are in the world, and until next time, take care.